You all the best for your 13th edition of Vinyls India, and I see it growing by leaps and bounds year on year. So hearty congratulations to you and your team. We have, I would say, the stars of the industry from the domestic industry and also representing Wanhua from the Chinese industry. A warm welcome to all of the people on the dais. And I can assure you that they can answer each and every question what you pose to the industry except one. And that
so I thought that in this context, what I would do over the next 20 minutes or so would be to take a step back and look at the larger context in which the world itself and the industry therefore is operating. What are the factors that are impacting the world? And I have looked at four large factors. One is, of course, demographics. And I believe that we all say that people come first. Well, in my presentation as well, people very literally come first. And then we will talk about geopolitics, which is extremely relevant right now. As I speak, I think geopolitics is at the top of everybody's list of things to worry about. Trade barriers, and that is again something that is impacting the world that we are living in. And of course, sustainability, which is impacting it in a good way. So these are the four topics that I'm going to talk about. And let me lead with demographics and the population. The world has a population problem. And people of my vintage would immediately recall that when we used to, in the early part of the century, talk about a population problem, we would be worried about overpopulation. We would be worried about the strain on the world's resources because of this expected boom in population. In fact, that fear is what led countries like China and India to start taking measures to control their population. The one-child policy in China and the family planning program here in India all came out of that fear. But is that really true? The population problem is most certainly there, but it's not what we think. Because today, the narrative has changed. The world has a population problem, and it's not about overpopulation, but it is about a shrinking population. And there's a lot of data that goes behind this fear.
So, good afternoon, everybody. Mr. Nayak, thanks for the introduction, and thank you for chairing the session. My industry colleagues, captains of the industry, my fellow panelists on the dais, ladies and gentlemen, it's really a privilege for me to be standing in front of you and talking today a little bit about downstream. Since morning we have been talking about globally what is going on, global geopolitics situation, what impact does it has on oil and naphtha and consequently on PVC. And my earlier speaker also said India is in a sweet spot. So my objective here is to let's zoom in a little bit more into India and into downstream. What is driving the demand of the pipes and fittings, because that's 70% of the total PVC demand here in India, whatever way you look at it. But before I move on, I want to tell a little bit about Finolex. Most of you would be knowing Finolex. So, but this is a very, very special year for us. We are celebrating 45 years of our existence, which is built on trust and excellence. And I think we, as Finolex industry, is the only producer who is backward integrated into also producing PVC resin. And that also puts us in a very unique position that we are in the petrochemicals also and also in the downstream, so we can look at both sides of the story. And of course, we are one of the leading producers of the PVC resin in India. Of course, this will change over time in the next couple of years as the new capacity.
Call me here. Neither I'm a technical person and neither I'm handling my day-to-day business. But I see a very bright future of India, whether it's into PVC or cable or pipe, anything. The only thing we need to change, when we think making budget or calculation, we should not think of India, we should think of a global. Unless and until we become a global player, I don't think so our economy will sustain. Why the countries are very successful? Because when China, people keep on talking China. So I can talk about China, I can talk about Europe. All the European companies, they created brand and they made us a sustainable economy. But none of the Indian company are a global company. Means the Tata, they acquire some company, they made some company business. Birla, they acquire some company, they made a company. But none of the Indian brands are recognized as a global brand. You see, if you look into Korea, Korea and India got independence same day. But there are 6 companies, Hyundai, Kia, LG, Samsung, Daewoo, Lotte, but they are the global player. Now India is focusing, they given the PLI, right? PLI is good, but then if somebody wants to buy an iPhone, he never see whether it is manufacturing from India, whether it is China, or Korea, or Pakistan. They buy iPhone. But we need to create a brand, which if they want, they have to come to India. They have to come to Indian company. This is going to be a sustainable model. And for that, we need to first of all focus on quality. The biggest challenge over the last few decades, or especially in the last 10 years, Indian economy has grown like anything. As a country, we achieved the biggest respect. Our thanks to our Prime Minister, he made India as a brand. But as a local company, because of after listing, the companies have started compromising on.
Okay, hello everyone, good morning. Thank you so much for invitation to attend for this conference. And it is also my first time to be in India to make this kind of introduction for the Wanhua Chemical and also share our idea of our company. Okay. And also to share our idea from the Wanhua side for current status. Now it's very completed. So today my topic is actually for the win-win strategy currently from our group and how we do in the next page. Okay, so my presentation will be in the 3 parts. Firstly, we introduced for the Wanhua PVC, and then I will make a brief overview with the global PVC market. And actually, in the past of the few of the presentation, we already have some data. I will not to take too much of the time for everybody. And then we'll overview of the China PVC market and also for Wanhua strategy, especially during this kind of the special period. So firstly, introduce Wanhua a little bit. So Wanhua currently is the integrated chemical company. And now we are actually for the top 15th in the global of the chemicals. And we have the over 30,000 employees in the globally, and we have 30 of the branches and subsidiaries in the world. And we are trying to supply the different kind of the materials of the chemicals. Of course, not only for the chloride. And we are currently also trying to make the sustainable development for in the globally for all of the customers. And here I introduce a little bit about for Wanhua history. We are established in 1978. We start our business in polyurethane. It is the isocyanate. So maybe some questions for one of the isocyanate producer like MDI, why you are currently in chloride? Because chlorine is the main raw material for the MDI. And actually,
It's I would say, quite interesting time we all are meeting, right? Unmesh ji, आप जो बोल रहे थे ना सुबह, no one has the answer. But then that's the question we are getting since morning. जो भी मिलता है, most of them I would say, how do you see the market? And obviously I don't have the answer. But then some of the experts, or I would say most of the experts, they say that PVC is the most stable polymer. But clearly, they are not referring to its pricing, right? So, prices go up, prices go down, sometimes in the same week, and occasionally for reasons that even market itself is still trying to figure out. In our industry, we don't just track demand and supply. We also track rumors, sentiments, policy changes, and sometimes even weather in different parts of the world. So that's how the PVC market, PVC business is. So let me start my presentation. This is just a disclaimer and very, I would say, the most valid in today's time, that it does not refer to anything, or I would say I dare not mention anything, whatever I am referring in the slides, that it would come out to be true, or let's see. So geopolitics, energy and demand shifts are redefining the global PVC cost curve and trade flows. So
और ये अच्छा किया मैंने माइक नहीं दिया उनको सर आप करिए ना कुछ नया लाइए ना यू आर one of the veterans there. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, before we launch into the break, we are going